Greetings, fellow songwriters and seekers, and welcome back to Muse and Measure. If you haven't done so yet, please hit that subscribe button. All right, Bob McGowan of Not the Chair Circle asks, what is your opinion of setting a deadline for a song? I tend to do this as I write them to go on my channel, which has a sort of deadline of its own. I have some flexibility because I usually have a few songs half finished, and so I can choose which one is shaping up at the time. Do you use deadlines at all, or do you feel that they hinder the creative process? Love, light, and peace, Bob McGowan. Thanks so much, Bob. That's an excellent question. I would say both. Deadlines, it just depends on your own personality and it depends on where your head's at in the moment. But deadlines can be very, very useful as far as getting things done. I like how you mentioned half finished songs. So, especially when you have grunt work to do, where you just have, okay, I just need to write this last verse. I already know what the creative landscape of the song is. I already know all the weird places it's going to go. I have the full structure set down, but there's just some tweaking that I need to do, and there's some actual just grunt work of getting these lines written. Then I think absolutely having a deadline for finishing up things where you're just like, oh, I'm just almost there. It's really hard to finish things. And, I think there's something in the back of our mind that makes us not like finishing things because it's like when it's unfinished, there's still infinite potential there. And it still could be the best song ever written. But as soon as you say, okay, this song is done, then you're faced with your product. And most of the time, it's not going to be exactly, up to snuff. I hope it is, and I hope you fall in love with the song and go, "Wow, this blew my mind. I had no idea that I could do this, that I had the potential for this." So, in the early stages, though, I don't like having a deadline. So when I'm just letting a song come out of its seed and just sprout and find its life and find its way and find its own nature, then I really don't like to put a deadline where I say, okay, this song is going to get done this week. I have the little kernel of an idea. Maybe I have a lyric seed, I have a concept seed, I have a melody seed. I think when you're, like with a garden, when you plant those seeds, you can't push them too much. You have to have some patience. And that really allows the songs from becoming a little too cookie cutter and falling into a form. Because I don't know about your experience, but when I have too much of a deadline and it's early in the process, I'm going to rush towards, what I know, which is, okay, it's this form. Okay, I'll do verse, chorus, bridge, uh, final chorus, maybe a coda, and kind of forcing it into this framework. If I was a commercial songwriter, that's how I would write. If I had a deadline every week where I had to deliver, 10 songs, I'd probably sit down and write, okay, these are the verses. Okay, I got to write a chorus now. Okay, got those down. Now I got to write a bridge. I would stick too much to the formula. Well, what I've found and how I've grown as a songwriter is really letting the songs tell me what their inner nature is. And sometimes that happens very quickly. It can happen in one improv session where just you're in the flow and it just comes out. Or it can happen over months and months and months. My song Tide Song, which is on the new album, it took 3 months to finish that song. And I made it with very, very, very tiny incremental progress over those months. Maybe one line a night, maybe one little chord shift a night, or just playing it over and over again until it finally revealed where the next part was going to go. And if you listen to the song, it really goes to all kinds of different weird places. So maybe you'll think, oh, he should have had a deadline on this. He was just being too self-indulgent and just went wherever his imagination went, and now it's this chaos. I don't know. You can let me know. But yeah, so deadlines I think are very, very useful, especially when you're trying to wrap things up. You know what the song is, and you just got to tweak. I don't like the third verse lyrics. I got to rewrite that. Yeah, then absolutely set a deadline for yourself. Also, it's good to set deadlines for demoing and just getting things out. I like that you have, you're making them for your YouTube channel, and so it's very, very useful to, have that streamlined process. But I think in the early stages, until they get to that half-finished stage or until you're satisfied with the form of them, just let it breathe a little bit. And I think the only thing that you have to hold yourself account to is doing it on a daily basis, or, how often you can do it, but hold yourself to that. So the deadline is, I've got to be at the writing desk at 9 o'clock tonight, and I'm going to write for 10 minutes. So that's the thing to hold yourself account to. But all very useful. Of course, this is just me. Everybody has their own personalities and styles. And so if you are somebody who works really, really well with deadlines, then by all means, don't take my advice on this. I'm somebody who very much shirks any kind of structure and discipline, and it's been the bane of my existence. But in my old age, I'm hopefully getting wise to learn how to use my strengths and my weaknesses. All right. Well, best of luck with your strengths and weaknesses, your songwriting process, your spiritual practice, your deadlines or lack of them. And I'll see you next time on Muse and Measure. Take care.